Welcome to Slightly Under Asking. I'm Kelly Sejoni, and I'm here with Caitlin. And today we are going to talk about how to be a model cross agent. So what do we mean by that, Caitlin?
Just a nice little friend in the business to work with.
Yes.
And not to be an asshole.
Yes. So we're specifically talking about when you are in a transaction, how to be a good colleague to if you're the listing agent, to the buyer's agent, and vice versa, how to be assertive, yet and represent your client to the fullest, however, not to be an asshole about it, and how collaboration will save deals and, different teams, but like same. We're trying to get to the same goal here.
Right.
So, let's talk about maybe the best cross-sell you've had or a good one in recent memory, and then one that has been an absolute nightmare and really like sullied the whole deal, or everybody just left pissed off. You know, some war stories here, but also like things maybe a newer agent might need to know to do better in this space. Because what you will learn is while there are thousands of agents out there, the ones who actually do the business, it is a very small community, and you will cross paths again. And sometimes being a good cross agent will open up to more opportunities and will help future clients in the long run. Like maybe get an offer accepted because they worked with you before, they know you're fair, and it worked out.
Yep.
And you know that that's the kind of client you bring to the table. So,
Yep. Well, I think that sometimes we don't realize that like a part of half of the challenge of our job is dealing with our colleagues,
Yes.
oftentimes, right?
Yes.
And you never know who you're getting in with unless you've worked with them before. You don't know their process, their systems, their communication style, their, how long they've worked with this client. And what I've found is there's just so many things that can go awry.
Oh, yeah.
And so on so many levels, like you can have the agent that constantly blows you up. You can have the agent that you never hear from again. And you're like, do they even exist? Like, I'm glad everything's going somewhat smooth because I've not heard a word from them. So you have the agent who's unorganized. You have the brand new agent that has no help and has no idea what they're doing, and they're screwing things up that are like, that's bleeding into your life. Like there are so many different ways it can go south. And I have stories for all of them, I think, at this point. But to your point on collaboration, it is a fine line between collaborating and still representing your client.
Totally.
And it's a dance, I think, that like we all have to do. Because in order to collaborate, a lot of times you have to share some context. And you don't want to do that to the detriment of your client as well.
You can't lose your fiduciary responsibilities. But I think on a human level, sometimes it's easier for people to see the other side's point of view when they have context. And they have,
Exactly.
I think on a human level, that's the hard part about real estate. It's not like selling stocks. It's an asset, but it's not like selling stocks. It's, hey, this is the house that my clients, children were born and raised in. We need more time to pack.
Right.
That's why we're asking for a longer escrow.
Right.
Not to be an asshole.
Right.
You know what I mean? Things like that.
And then on the flip side, there's the context that you share with your client to try to help them understand the context that then pisses off your client, and you're like, oh, I didn't know that was going to piss you off. Or, oh, I didn't know that was going to like set you off to now where you're defensive, right? And you're like, shit, I wish I had never said that, right? Like I had this happen, and the buyer's an electrical engineer. Apparently I'm representing the seller. Then so the context was, hey, I know these are like really kind of picky things around like some of the like GFCIs and whatnot. He's an electrical engineer, just wants to like know everything's good to go, right? So I share that with my clients. Well, my clients then say, well, if he's an electrical engineer, he can just fix it himself. why the hell is he asking us for this shit?
Yeah.
You know, and they're pissed, right?
Yeah.
They're like through the roof pissed about ticky tacky things. And I'm like, because
Like,
he's an electrical engineer doesn't mean he's an electrician.
Yeah.
Like he's not, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like, oh God, why did I, you know, so like it's very hard sometimes to like what you share. But anyway,
Yes.
that's kind of going off on a tangent.
Love a good tangent. Don't be afraid to throw a tangent my way.
Working with the cross agent, though, it goes the other way too, because like what you share about your client, you don't know how they're going to
Yes.
receive that information. You don't know how they're going to share that with their client.
Mm-hmm.
If something gets lost in the game of telephone. So this is why I say it's a dance, right?
Yes.
And you have the agents that come in very combative and thinking that's the way to go. And then you have agents that are very collaborative. And so it can be hard to navigate.
Well, that, and I think sometimes you have you have your own personality, right? But then your clients want you to be a certain way, maybe based on how they view a negotiation should happen.
Yep.
Like, I think as agents, sometimes we either get the feeling or are flat out told, like, you didn't do enough. You didn't go at them. You didn't negotiate hard enough. And sometimes the client just doesn't understand. I think two things. One, sometimes you can push to a point where it will just blow up the deal. And I also very much believe in negotiation fatigue.
Yep.
I think sometimes, clients will say, well, we'll come in at this, and then they'll probably say this, and then we'll come back with this, and then they'll probably land on this. No. That ping pong back and forth,
Yeah.
people start to get really irritated, start to feel really broken down. Like, why are we playing games?
Yeah.
I'm not a big, as an agent, I'm not a big game player. I also try and explain to my clients that, this might be one of 2 deals they do in their lifetime, but I need to make a living in this market, and I'm not going to come in and, have a pissing contest with every agent just because you saw that on Selling Sunset.
Yes.
And that's not really how it is.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
you want this house, don't let an ego or, this like act you want me to put on,
Yeah.
like this tough guy act, ruin it for you. Like, you hired me to get this house for you.
Right.
Let me do that for you.
Right.
And let me do that with finesse and collaboration and making sure it's a win-win for everybody. Like, everybody doesn't need to walk away from this deal like pissed off and that was the worst transaction ever. It doesn't have to be like that.
Right. Yeah. And that's what our job is
Yes.
to help the client understand or to do what we need to do to get the client's wishes done. But it doesn't mean we have to do it in the methods that they want us to do it. And like that, I've had that happen. Tell them that this is like, we're going to do this. Otherwise, we're going back on market.
Yeah.
And you need to tell them that they've gotten this from us and that from us. And I'm like, okay, I don't tell them that shit.
Yeah.
Because all that's going to do is piss off the cross
Yeah.
agent. I know, right?
Yeah.
Like, I've been the one in communication with the cross agent.
Yes.
And then that's also part of our job is to shield the client from the nonsense of the cross agent sometimes, because that's just going to piss everybody off when the cross agent is like, they're pissed because of this, this, and that, and your client isn't being very accommodating and da-da-da-da-da. I'm not going to go back to my client and be like, well, the sellers are pissed because you guys aren't accommodating.
Yeah.
Like, that's not. So our job is like a filter. And then it makes it really hard to have those conversations with the cross agent because how much do you share? How much do you, and it depends on their communication style too.
Do you, so we've always talked about I feel like on every episode, we always say, if it doesn't feel hard, it doesn't feel like we've earned it.
Yeah.
Do you feel like clients feel like
100%.
like if a deal looks too easy,
Yep.
we're overpaid,
100%.
right? Do you think that kind of mentality plays into this? Like we need this grand dramatic, but I mean, I don't think the consumer understands how many grenades we jump on through a deal that they have no idea about.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's part of the high level of service that I that I give and why I command what I give, because there are issues that they don't even know were issues because I stopped it in its tracks, or I figured it out. I chilled them out. I navigated that, and I don't even bother them with it.
Yeah.
But then the deal was too easy. Well,
Yeah.
she's overpaid.
Right.
You know
exactly.
what I mean?
And
So
that's, but that's our fault. We don't show and tell enough. And so, but how do you do that in a tactical way? Maybe that's another episode. But as far as cross agents go, I think like to be a good cross agent, you need to be, I think collaboration is one thing, but also knowing your client's boundaries and what they will or will not want you to share. But like knowing all of that context, but then trying to collaborate with the agent on getting something done. Now, obviously you can't expect them to be like, well, their bottom line is 550 and like just out it all, right? But offering solutions or suggestions on different ways to do things I've found has been helpful, where like I'll just pick up the phone and be like, hey, I saw your counter. I'm going to discuss it with my clients. I know my clients are looking for X, Y, and Z to this extent, whatever. You know, I'm not sure how they're going to respond to this. Do you think your clients would be open if, you know, if they're not okay with this, if we counter back and we move the numbers in this way? Like, do you think, is that going to be okay? Or like, is there anything that's going to set them off with, you know, a counter in this way? Or here's the reason why I'm wondering. Like, those types of conversations tend to go well because then you also look more educated to your client.
Yes.
When you then call your client, you're not like, well, I don't know, this is what they sent over. You have more context to be like,
yes,
okay, yes, you don't like this. I get it. Here's a thought on a solution, right?
So one thing you said, you know, definitely something I feel really strongly about. And my mentor, Dwayne, told me this. He said, stop texting, pick up the phone. And, you know, back 15 years ago when I started, I was like yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, but truly, you know, anytime I submit a repair, in Arizona, it's called a BINSR, the repair request, essentially. I don't just, you know, drop a bomb on someone's, you know, in someone's email and then, you know, ghost. I send it to them. I pick up the phone. I said, hey, I sent the BINSR. Before you send it to your client, I'd like to talk to you about it. And then I can provide some much needed context a lot of times. Like, hey, you know, I know some of these are a little bit smaller items. Here's why. My client is a first-time home buyer and doesn't own a ladder. So she can't get up there to change that bulb or that filter.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that makes sense because when you just kind of throw a repair request with no context and say like, you know, suck on that.
Yeah.
You know, people get defensive. They're like, oh, they can't do that. Well, then, you know, we're not doing anything.
Exactly. It's always great when you're working with another agent who will, whether they pick up the phone or they text you and say, hey, do you have time to chat on whatever? I just want to give you some context. Or if they're just like, hey, I know this sounds crazy. Here's where they're coming from or whatever. You know, it's someone who has enough care to give the context really and have those conversations, because it makes it easier on you to then deliver that information to your client and just try to grease the skids a little bit, because that's the biggest issue in real estate is everyone gets so emotional and fired up over things.
Egos.
That and so if the agents can't stay calm in that storm and try to like just temper that, then we're not doing our jobs. And there's plenty of agents out there that just love to fuel the fire and jump into the drama and try to stir it up on either side, being combative. And it's like, that's not helping. I guarantee your clients are now stressed out.
Yes.
You're stressing me out. And I'm trying to just like come to terms here. And all you're doing is being combative over things. So a story that just happened with my team today, the agent basically told us we submitted an offer for buyers, and the seller countered, and the seller countered with a lower concession amount, lower buyer agent fee, lower price or higher price. And so we countered back after speaking with our clients, and our clients are fine with covering the difference in our fee, but they wanted a particular price and they were willing to give up concessions. So like actually our counter was very fair. This agent came back like on fire and was like, you know, you're letting your commission hold up this deal. And if you guys are going to do that, then you need to like, you just need to know that it's your fault and you're not doing a service to your client. And we're like, okay, first of all, that's a huge assumption.
Yeah.
Second of all, like this has nothing to do, like the clients just said no to 2% in concessions and they're willing to cover the difference here, like whatever. Anyway, but it was so accusatory and it's like, don't you want your listing to sell?
Yeah.
Like, and why are you, it was so defensive about the commission. And then came the conversation of like, I'm making nothing on this, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, that has nothing to do with me. So I'm sorry that you're seeing that I'm charging X percent, but like negotiate for yourself. I don't know. So all like additional drama that our clients have never heard about because we've sheltered them from that, but like just unnecessary nonsense to add in the mix. And it's like, this isn't about you. You're trying to make it an issue. Like, and giving the opinion of your client without, we had to be like, did you actually present this to them? Like we asked that point blank and he never answered. I'm like, you didn't because you're just responding with a knee-jerk reaction because you're pissed off and saying that they're not going to like it and they're not going to agree to it.
We are messengers a lot of the time.
Yeah.
You know? So we have to convey the message, you know, the best we can. Sometimes we agree with what our clients say. Sometimes we don't. But ultimately, you know, we just need to find a way to get it done. Right?
Yeah.
So tell me, like, the best cross sale in recent memory. Like, what did that client, or excuse me, what did that agent do that really brought up the entire tone of the transaction?
I think good communication, but all around, not just with me, but having a TC who's on top of things. And like just keeping organized, right? So like now I don't have to put in extra work to chase your nonsense. So good communication, organization, collaboration, I think are like probably the top 3 things. And I think that kind of covers it. I mean, context as well. And feeling like you're working together towards the goal. Honest and transparent communication too. Again, like not revealing things about your client you're not supposed to, but you know, it's just so important to say like, they're not trying to be assholes. Here's their situation. You know, how can we make this work? I'm trying to think of, there was someone it was, I think earlier this year where we had some difficult stuff, but we had a lot of conversations about like, you know, do you think your client would be open to this? I know my clients won't be open to that, but like, you know, as it got through like the Binzer or we were talking about changing closing dates or post-visit, I don't know. It was just like different elements that kept coming up. And it was really about just like respectful conversation. Obviously not making decisions for our clients, but just providing options, right? And you can get to the end that way when you have more than one solution, because like, yes, you can be messengers a lot of times, but you can also be like, hey, here's the deal. And we have some options here that I think could be agreeable to the other parties. When you know that, right? So I think those are the big things. What would you say?
I definitely think, you know, agents who communicate and are accessible is a big thing. Whenever I hear, I feel like I've had, knock on wood, a good run. I haven't had like a nightmare agent on the other end, or at least one that once I figured out what was really happening, I could understand a little bit better where they were coming from. Like an outright just shit agent, I haven't had that in a really, really, really long time.
Yeah.
It could be because I think it's more just my personality. Like I kind of have a tendency to overall quarterback the transaction. Like I automatically, when I get paperwork, whether I'm the listing agent or the buyer's agent, we send it to title. We send it to the lender too. Not because we want to overstep, but just because we want to make sure it gets done.
Yep.
It doesn't matter who sends it. It just needs to get done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If somebody needs, as long as it's not happening over and over, but like, hey, can you resend that doc? Like sure. We're not going back and saying, per our email, on Saturday.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll forward it so we have the timestamp, but like, how many times does that happen to me where it's like, I can't find it. I don't know if I didn't, where it went. Do you mind?
Yeah. Yeah.
Also just, hey, I can't answer right now. I'm in a listing appointment. I'll text you back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No
Yeah.
ghosting, nothing
Yeah.
like that. But again, just a very collaborative nature, I feel like is a really good attribute to have. Just trying to get everybody to the finish line.
Drop the ego.
Drop the ego.
That's the hard one.
Don't, this isn't HGTV.
Yeah.
Or Bravo.
Yeah.
It's not.
That's where I feel like it becomes the most difficult is when there's the ego around it. And they're trying really hard to just hardball negotiation and try to, they just can't collaborate at all.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can still negotiate for your client and have a conversation with me without just being, I don't know, threatening on everything that you're saying.
Yeah.
We had a cross agent lately who was in the unorganized camp, basically. And that was so frustrating because I had to send emails 3 times.
Yeah.
And she would text me and be like, you never sent me this. I'm like, I did. And then I would resend it. Oh, it went to spam. I'm sure it didn't. I just don't think you know what you're doing. She was much older too. So I feel like there was just a lot of challenges there. Calling the wrong phone number. It was just wild. I was like, this is so much extra work that I don't need to be doing just because you don't know which way is up right now.
Well, I also think that, and I'm not trying to, like we've always said, there's a million ways to run this business and do this business. So if you're a part-time agent, more power to you. But if you are a part-time agent, make sure you have some systems set up for when you're at maybe your regular 9-to-5 job, or you have coverage. But also, I think staying up on continuing ed and getting really, seasoned in the process, even if you're not doing a ton of deals, just always trying to be better is important. I was in a CE class the other day, a contract class, and it was on Zoom. So it was thumbs up if, or, it was interactive. So you could do polls now in Zoom. So it was is the answer A, B, or C? It was shocking.
Yeah.
How many people didn't know the contract, the basic 3, how many days do you have to send property disclosures? How many days do you have to review the title commitment? People were steadfast in their answers. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
That's
yeah. Yep. There are so many things that, and this is exactly what I was talking to my team member about today, that I don't think clients understand that the biggest part of our job is knowing the contract, right? There's so many pieces, but they don't understand how much of a ninja you can be in this business when you understand it, and how many times you can like literally find a win for them
Yeah.
because you know the contract and the other agent doesn't.
Yep.
And there is a very small percentage of agents out there that do understand the contract
Yep.
and know what their obligations are, and what the cross sides obligations are, and are able to pull those levers and like win, right?
Yeah.
And this has happened multiple times. The transaction that I mentioned in our last podcast with Shay, when I had like I had a terrible seller, I had a terrible cross agent. Well, at the end of the day, even though those sellers were terrible, we saved them like $1,500 because of the contingency around HOA violations, which many agents don't realize that as a buyer, unless you put into writing in 5 days after receiving the HOA stuff, that you're not okay with that violation, that house can close with a violation.
Yeah.
Like agents seem to think that like, oh, title will never close with an HOA violation. They sure will.
Yeah.
If no one says no, they will.
Yep.
And so there was that. There's been just a number. Oh, I was dealing with an agent recently who was upset for a number of reasons, and they were trying to extend their inspection period on no basis whatsoever. And so put in the Binzer cancellation that they were canceling because we wouldn't extend their inspection period. And I'm like, okay, well, that's not really like a valid reason for cancellation. Yeah. They had other stuff in there too, but also said that the buyer didn't want to send us the inspection report any longer. And I was like, okay, well, it has to be delivered to the seller upon the time of inspection. And I had to literally screenshot the part in the contract and send it and say like, this is, so it's like all that extra stuff that you deal with. Yep. You're just like, I don't have time for you learning while I'm trying to do this. You know what I mean? Like, but it also gives you an advantage. And the other agent that I mentioned, who was upset about the commission, literally put in writing, the standard commission has been X for a number of years now. So the fact that you're asking for, I was like, I don't even know, like, the fact that you're putting that in writing is shocking. Yeah. The fact that you believe that is even more shocking. But it's like, okay, just now we know who we're dealing with here, right? So let me at him,
I know. Like, it's alarming out there.
Yeah.
People who are moonlighting, it's hard to get good when you're not coming across these scenarios left and right.
Right.
You know what I mean? So as long as you're in the pursuit of learning and trying to be good, I'd say that is a good attribute of a cross-sell agent. But, someone who just wants solutions, wants to get to the end, can put their ego aside, but also somebody I think who is somebody who's dialed in their processes. What they'll do is they'll set the tone for their clients on their end, which essentially like keeps heads cool, right? So like emotions run high, and I think a lot of that is because consumers and clients just don't know what they don't know. And that is scary to someone when it comes to selling or buying such a large asset. So if I have coached my clients and you have coached your clients on what to expect, things are a little bit less, weary and up and down. Like this is the simplest example. The upcoming close email that I send. Yeah. Hey, like, we're approaching close. Please fill out this home information sheet so that we can give them the mailbox number so they know, what day, the trash and recycling come. So they know the garage code. Yeah. This is how you leave a house when you sell it. Take your trash with you. If there's extra paint, you might want to leave it. But if they are okay with that, take your trash, pick up your dog shit. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then on the other side, I expect that same courtesy. Right. So that when I give keys, it's a happy moment. Yep. It's not because I know that they had that taken care of. We're not chasing down garage keypad codes 4 days when, I'm at soccer or football and I'm not looking at my phone and, they're sweating with the moving truck.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Can't get into their
Everything was
mailbox.
buttoned up before.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody had coached their client prior. So closing is a happy day.
Yeah.
It's exciting. They are empowered. They have all their information that they need. The house is clean or at least presentable.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Maybe not deep cleaned, but
Yeah.
it doesn't look like they just left a mess.
Yes.
Yeah. 100%. I know. And there's so many things we can't control. And you just don't know who you're working with on the other end. And a lot of times, sometimes they're just delivering the message from their client and they don't realize that their job is also to kind of coach their client and be like, hey, that's not really appropriate.
Yeah.
And I get that, but sometimes you can't say to your client, like, we can't ask for that. But other times it's like, you're not helping the situation at all. Like, you need to help your client understand that, like, this is the situation right now, and I think too, like, when you're a new agent, if you don't have a mentor, a team, and you don't get to call your broker before you, send an addendum or make a phone call or whatever, I'm not opposed to, like, agents asking me, like, hey, how do we draft this? Or what would be the best way for us to put this together? I've had that. I've done that when I was a newer agent of, like, what would your broker prefer on this? And have them help. And so I've been that person for cross agents as well of, like, I think the best way for us to do this is put it together this way, or, let's wait until we get through negotiations before we execute on this, personal property addendum or whatever, personal property bill of sale.
I did that on the last deal. How to draft language. The agent David and I, we together drafted it together. That way, my client, him and I had a full understanding of how it would read and could convey it the same way to our clients. So everybody was on the same page because, you run into scenarios. Every deal has a different scenario.
Yeah.
So really we did what we could to just, okay, so if I drafted it like this, what about this? Okay, your broker will take that. I mean, and again, like, him and I are not new agents, but it worked out great.
Yeah.
And everybody signed, and it was way easier than everybody, than me just cold drafting it and throwing it and then being like, oh, wait, like, okay, bring it back. I got to rewrite it. They need to re-sign it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you start to do that, your clients also start to question your, your process and your,
Yes, it gets embarrassing or people change their minds on things that exactly. So if you can come to terms verbally between the agents, what's expected on, an addendum or cleaning things up from the contract. That's the other thing. You get, like, a super messy contract and it's like, oh my God, what, we're going to have to do so many different things here. And
missed
that's
an
sometimes
initial, missed this, missed a checkbox.
Or it's, like, very unclear verbiage and it's like, oh, please don't write it like that. Like, you have no idea how misinterpreted this could be for your clients. And sometimes I think that's where, like, the ego comes into play because then you're, like, correcting an agent who's like, I don't want you to be correcting me. And it's like, hey, I'm not trying to step on your toes here, but, like, this is not going to be good for anybody, Yeah. So there's a dance. Like I said, it's a dance.
Yep.
But I think to be a good cross agent, come in with a collaborative mindset, communication, good process.
Yep. Good
intentions. Own your shit.
Yep.
Don't put it on the other agent. I see that all the time too, where it's like, no, that's your clients. Like, or okay.
Check your stress too.
Here's one thing that I'll just vent about for a second. The agents who are like, oh, I'm going to be out of town during that time for the final walkthrough. Could you let them in? No.
Yeah.
I'm not letting your clients into my clients. I represent the seller. You represent the buyer. You get someone from your team or your office or whatever to take your buyer into the house. That's not my responsibility.
Pay them the $25-$50.
Or could you just, is it okay if I just give my client the lockbox code to do their walkthrough? No, absolutely not.
Can I give them the key early?
Yeah. Those things, I'm just like, the gravity of like, yes, I know it seems harmless, but the gravity of what could happen here is like, it's not okay. And I'm not doing it. And I feel like there's been a lot of like lazy agents who are like, would it be okay if you just let them in, or I can't make it, or I'm like, that's your responsibility.
Yeah.
I had one agent ask me if I could send out the counter offer for his client to sign. I was like, no.
Yeah.
I can't even like think of how terrible of a conflict of interest that would be for me to send that from my transaction desk.
Yeah.
Even if I was willing, like, no. Like, I don't know.
Yep.
So there's just, you never know what you're going to come across, but sometimes, I don't know.
I think as a whole, everybody needs to level up.
Yeah, I know.
As a whole.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, like you said, collaborative mindset, put your ego aside and just like, let's get it done kind of thing.
Yep.
So
be a good cross agent.
Be a good cross agent. It's so important too, because, I'll tell you, when I see a familiar name that I had a good experience on, and maybe I have a listing that gets multiple offers.
Yep.
I mean, that's not the case these days, but I remember.
Yep.
But I also really remember assholes.
Yep.
Like I remember good names, but I probably more so remember people who were combative, rude, maybe didn't do that, didn't keep their ethics.
Yep. I know I've definitely told my clients like, hey, these offers are really similar. Where are you leaning? And they'll ask for my opinion. And I'll be like, well, I've worked with so-and-so's team before, and I know that they have a great process and they're fair negotiators and whatever. And
if it's apples to apples,
Yep, exactly. And on the flip side too, I've had our offers chosen because the listing agent has worked with me before. So it goes both ways. So you do need to like put out the good to get good karma a little bit.
Well, even transactions aside, I mean, there have been a lot of good opportunities that have come out of cross. I mean, like maybe off market opportunities that you might not have known about because you get in a good flow with the agent, or, I've had people join Real. And, because they liked working with me. So, I mean, that's an opportunity all in and of itself. You know, that wasn't the intention, but it just was a nice byproduct, So, but I think this is a good one. If you think this episode was helpful, be sure to pass it on to maybe a newer agent, somebody who needs this guidance, but also comment, like, what do you think? We'd love some more engagement on these videos. What do you think makes a good cross agent? What was your best experience? But also tell us your worst so that we can know what not to do.
What not to do. Yeah.
So, we will see you on the next one. Thanks for tuning in. Go ahead, like, subscribe, and give us a review.